All right, so it's been a while. It's been quite a while. I think it's been around 3 months since I made a video. Um, where have I been? Well, I'm also going to be eating because I'm very hungry. Um, First off, I want to thank the person who messaged or commented on one of my videos, more recent ones, and said like, "Hey man, like, where are you? How are you doing?" Yeah, I know. I originally made this channel, to be all honest with the process of doing applications and life and things happening, and I did not stick with that. So where have I been? So I looked at the last time I posted a video was like mid-March. I had gotten back from a trip visiting a friend in Oregon, and it was super, super fun. And then really soon after that, I got an interview at one of the best schools for my major, and I was super, super excited. Stayed up all night preparing and had the interview. I thought it went amazing. And I guess that's when the bad news kind of started coming. Yeah, the first school rejected me. And yes, I was pretty upset because I didn't understand why they rejected me entirely. I have my opinions on why, but I thought I was the perfect Wow, I thought I was the perfect applicant, and I was talking to their admissions a lot. So I really didn't understand why, and it really hurt actually getting rejected, not even waitlisted. I guess it's hard, like, it's hard when you put so much time into something and you make a lot of sacrifices. I mean, this is saying this was just my first rejection, and the hope dipped down, as hope does. And then I think slowly over time, the more I waited and the more I didn't hear anything, I continued to get more worried. And so that's when I started pushing myself. There was a quote that I saw a very long time ago from Joe Rogan, funny enough, really resonated with me, and just kind of like my obsessive behaviors and stuff. That said, you have to be crazy to be successful. You have to push yourself. You have to be the craziest person in the room to achieve the goal you're looking for. And yeah, I think that resonated with me so much that I realized that, these schools are looking for somebody like that who is so driven for film and so passionate about it. And I pushed myself to the brink of like insanity, I'd say. I had 2 films that I was working on, and for about a month straight, I went to bed at like 4 a.m. every day, woke up at 9. So on the best case scenario, I got 5 hours of sleep most nights, realistically it was more like 2, just because I was so worried about everything that I didn't sleep. So that impacted my life, just because my brain wasn't getting enough sleep to be able to function. But I kept pushing, and I kept, working and making people happy. And I think there's a point when you have to realize that there's no point in pushing so hard, and that you have to take a step back, and you have to realize that you're pushing yourself, to death. Like you're literally, you're walking the line, you're walking in the tightrope. So I never realized that. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I think it was when I got the school that I had gotten the interview for, that I thought I did perfect, and I was so excited. I was kind of planning even on going, like I was super excited about it because I thought it was good news. And I looked, and I ended up getting rejected, like straight out. I didn't even get waitlisted or anything. And it crushed me, yes. But that wasn't the bad part. I think human nature has taught me that jealousy is going to happen. There's a girl who also got another interview, and we were very excited. Both of us got interviews, both of us were great applicants. And so I checked in with her. I was like, hey, what, did you get in? And then, I was sitting there, I read my application, I read my rejection. I was like, I had a lot of emotions. And then I looked at my phone, and she said, yeah, I got in. I want to hear the same about you. And that's when I exploded. And I want to say, it wasn't that hard, and don't be dramatic, but I was so upset. It's not jealousy, it's just that I couldn't understand what I did wrong to not be able to get in. And I got so upset, I almost broke my desk, and then I almost pulled my hair out, which was bad. I actually had to have somebody like uncurled my fingers. Yeah, so that was really bad. And then everybody was kind of on high alert with me, just because they didn't want, everybody was just saying, we don't want you to do anything. We don't want you to do anything. We all know what that means. So I played it cool. I didn't tell anybody that I got rejected, and I rode the wave out a little bit. The good thing about me is I like to distract myself with stuff. I get obsessive, and I just distract myself. And then I was like, if I got rejected from this school, and then leading up to that, I've been rejected from every school. That in my appeals, so I appealed one place, and I got waitlisted another. And in my appeals, I wanted to be the best person to appeal. So I overloaded myself with work, with projects, with helping people, with my own projects. And I completely lost it. Like, I completely lost my mind going for even more work. And I think the worst part was it didn't feel purposeful anymore. I had the purpose of completing the app so I could go to the school and have the opportunity to go to school, but it was so bad that I kept pushing myself and I didn't know why I was pushing myself anymore. And I think I slowly began to like lose it completely. And on the outside you can seem all normal and you can seem the happy-go-lucky guy, the happy-go-lucky perfect person who's still just in between decisions for schools. And when your friends are going to Berkeley or SLO or NYU or Northridge, it's really hard to sit back and say, I've failed. I have literally failed. I pushed myself so hard for nothing and I failed. And I think that's the mentality I had, and that was so toxic. And yeah, I just super toxic mentality. And that, but see, that's the problem with life is like, it's only one thing you're dealing with. But in reality, you're dealing with so much more. You're dealing with school, you're dealing with work, you're dealing with invoices, you're dealing with taxes, you're dealing with paying off your credit card, you're dealing with friends, you're dealing with relationship issues. And I don't know, I think it's all just been too much for me. It's been horrible. Like, my car has been breaking down. I have no radio in the car. I have nowhere to put my phone to record these videos. So, excuses. I've missed doing this. But yeah, that was my mentality up until last week. So I had a premiere that I hosted, went really well. But my problem has been recently, I don't feel anything. I don't feel any emotion, happy or sad. Like, I just don't feel anything. I'm stone-faced at home. I'm on the outside, I'm still making the jokes and I'm still okay on the outside, but inside I lack a lot of my my just like emotional qualities and that kind of stuff. And I have days occasionally when it's just too much and all of one emotion comes out. Those days are the hardest, for sure. So my family doesn't see it, but my friends see it sometimes now, where instead of being like normal, masked and stuff, I'm overly a certain way. And yeah, I think I can talk about that in a bit, but my like, I don't know, mid-March was when I ended this. I kind of stopped making these videos, and it was really hard for me to do anything really that was for me. I near the end of March, I think it was the end of March, my ex reached out and she was like, "Hey, I want to see you one more time. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's meet for coffee." And so we met for coffee, and I thought I was just gonna get, yelled at or we would talk it out or whatever. I didn't know it was really gonna happen. only thing she said to me was, "Do you still want me?" And I said, no. I said, no. She said, okay, got up and left. And I'd felt a lot of like guilt before that for the relationship, the way it ended. But she got up and I said, why couldn't this have just been a text? And she said, I thought your answer would be different. And I couldn't understand that because I thought I made myself crystal clear. From that point, I was angry and I didn't understand anything. I had so much anger, literally just so much anger for the way she ended it the last time I saw her, that my perspective of it was okay, you know, I'm a horrible person, you know, fuck me. That's what I was saying. And that's kind of the way I've been living, and you know, I think that's why a lot of my emotions have just gone away, because I'm like, you know what, I don't deserve, you know, I've hurt somebody so badly that I don't deserve, I don't feel much of anything. So, you know, good things happen. I host a premiere and everybody's like, oh my God, you know, that was amazing. I'm like, you made this so special, and you've accomplished so much. And I'm on the outside like, oh, thank you, you know, it means a lot. But inside, I don't even hear it anymore. I don't hear I just don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I don't hear it. And I just fake it on the outside, and on the inside, I just roll with the punches. I think every relationship has like a final FU moment. And I think for me, this one was creative, but one of the projects was really struggling. And I was struggling with it to help the director. I had too much on my plate and I was doing too much, so I said, you know, we're gonna make this thing and it's just gonna happen. We can save it in the editing. And then my friend was like, I stayed up all night and I rewrote it. Can you look at it? And I looked at it and it was pretty good. Like we could make it. I don't know what happened, but when we were going through the credits for it, I asked my friend and I was like, hey, what credit do you want? She's like, oh, definitely writer, but gotta be honest, I wasn't the only one who wrote it. You know, your ex actually came over to my house and stayed here until 2 or 3 a.m. and we rewrote the whole thing together. And I stayed up the rest of the night and I polished it up and I sent it. I remember being on that phone call and just thinking, you know, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done to anybody at all where they can't even, you know, I'm the leader of this group. They can't even reach out to me. They reach out to my ex for help, who, yes, worked on the project last year, but of all people, come on. I think it hurt more than anything. There's nothing else to it. I mean, I was just really hurt. I was gonna give the credit in the credits, so there's nothing to do. I think I wasn't even frustrated. I was sad. And I thought it was just cruel to do that, insensitive, and that's all I can say, because there's really nothing else you can do. You gotta just accept it for what happened and move on. And I moved on. And then at the end of that conversation, my friend said, you know what, she's also going to be coming to the premiere. And I was like, right, that's what I thought would happen. Mm-hmm. My one moment, my one night where I talk in front of everybody, I make it special, you know. And I have this thought in the back of my mind, this stress of, oh, I have to see this person I hurt so much, you know. I'm going to have those feelings come back. So, you know, the day of the premiere, supposed to be special, I was preparing, I was nauseous because I was so stressed. So I just didn't want to see her. Like you were, you know, cut off communication. You're not supposed to hear, you're not supposed to continue communication, really. She just wouldn't leave me alone, and I kept seeing her, and she was avoiding me, and I was avoiding her, and it was just really uncomfortable. And then I was like, you know what, but that's just the night, you know, don't have to see her. I went to a party, after party. We chilled out, we hung out, we had fun. My friend's on the phone with somebody, and he's like, what? Who's coming? She's coming? And I turn and I go, you gotta be kidding me. And my friend went pale, looked like he was almost shaking. And he was like, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. And I was like, damn. So on that Friday, it was actually last week, that Friday, there was a party, you know, a rap party for the crew. And she was going, and I was quite upset, because I was like, you know, premieres for everybody else. I hosted, I come up with the speech, you know, it's a special moment for everybody else. The party is my thing. It's like my time to, you know, relax and talk to people and you know, eat some good food and whatever, and just have a good time. And she even inserted herself there. And I was so confused and frustrated, but I was not going to let that ruin it for me. And I was not going to let that be the thing that, you know, I'm not going to go. No, I was going to go. I had a lot of confusion about why she was going. Like, what? Like, really, that's it. Why was she going? I figured it out later on, but we can talk about that in a bit. Yeah, we went to the party. Me and my friends carpooled, and then yeah, we get there. I see her, and I just immediately sinks my heart. And then she's talking to my friend, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go break the ice. This is weird. I'm not gonna let this be weird. I go over, break the ice. I say, hey, listen, I don't want this to be weird. How you doing? Whatever, like normal me, just normal me conversation. And I go away and I talk to other people, and then I'm talking to one friend who's sitting by himself, and she comes over and she sits with us and is acting extremely normal, which confused me so much, because I was like, you know, this person I hurt so much, I don't know why they're here, and I don't know why they're following me, kind of. Whatever, night goes on. I end up talking to my other friend, and she comes over again and she whispers in my ear, are you with this other person? I was like, no, I don't. Why? And she's like, no reason. And then I get up and I go over to my friend. I grab him by the shoulders. He's talking to a girl, and I don't even care at this point. I just go over to him. I grab him by the shoulders, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. My brain's kind of foggy, and I don't know why she keeps talking to me. And then he grabs me by the shoulders, and he's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, I'm sure everything. And as he's talking, I look over his shoulder, and she's standing right behind him looking at me. And I said, dude, he's right behind you. She's right behind you. And he turns and he just looks and he's like, oh God. And he walks away. And she's like, hey, can I talk to you? She's talking to me, my ex. And I was like, yeah. What am I gonna say, no? So we go and we have this talk and we kind of catch up on how the last 5 months have been. And I have the worst manic episode is the only way to explain it. I have a really bad manic episode. I'm rocking in the seat like this. I'm tapping. I'm shaking a lot, and I'm like smacking my face a lot as well, which was kind of weird. I was stuttering. I don't stutter ever. I was stuttering, which was starting to scare me. Yeah, so that conversation happened, and in the conversation, I addressed the fact that, I told her I thought you hated me, and she's like, I don't hate you, and I feel like half of my guilt went away with that, just by saying that. I spent a lot of late nights thinking about how badly I hurt her because she had a lot of her own personal mental health issues. So I spent a lot of time, dwelling on how that affected her and worrying about that. So hearing that she was okay was really what helped. We ended the conversation, kind of. She was staying at somebody's house. She invited me to go back with them, and I was too out of it to say, yeah, let's do it, because I don't think that would have been a good choice. I didn't do that. I went and went back to my friend, and I gave them hugs. I give my friends hugs, and I rarely give them big, real hugs. And I was giving them hugs, and I was coming down from the high of the adrenaline of the manic episode, and I was still like stuttering. They saw how bad it was firsthand. Yeah, so you can look at things like they're bad, and you can look at things like, I don't want to see her, I don't want to this, I don't want to that, but you never know. Maybe it was a bad idea that I saw her, maybe it was a good thing. All I know is that our conversation helped. It drew a lot of stress out. What didn't help was that the conversation didn't feel concluded. And so I went home and I went to bed quite numb. And the next day I was thinking about what happened, and I was trying to piece together, because when I get quite manic, it's hard to differentiate what's happened and what I've kind of made up. It's called disassociation. Yeah. So I think on the Sunday, so 2 days after, I reached out to her and I said, hey, our conversation didn't feel like it ended. Do you want to meet up and so we can just figure out the rest of the stuff that's on my mind, that's probably on your mind, and we just talk it out. And to my surprise, she said yes. And my friends knew that I needed it, the follow-up conversation. They knew that I didn't feel like it had completed, you know, how then the conversation for me didn't feel completed, right? So I found myself, I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know if it was a good idea, but I ended up inviting her over, and we met yesterday. But the whole week I have been in a state that is really hard for me to describe, and unless you see it, it won't make much sense. But I wanted to make this video so I could explain it and see if anybody's had a similar experience. But what I ended up talking through the whole week with my friend about, and we've tried to like piece it together, is that I've been under so much stress in the past, pretty much the past year, that all these results have come out. It's all done. The premiere ended two quite large projects of mine, and seeing her kind of erupted a lot more emotions that I kind of suppressed and tried not to think about. And in the end, I think what happened was I went into a state of pure numbness. My whole body, my mind, my senses, just everything went numb. So starting Sunday, the entire week, starting more like Tuesday, the entire week I had felt nothing. And I mean, I had my friend over on Monday, and it was an amazing time. We made food, and it was a great night, and we really enjoyed it. And I was bummed that, yeah, it was a great night. We watched a movie. I sent him home. It was a really great night. Next day, I have another friend over, and we're just sitting there, chilling. We end up getting really relaxed, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I think that was what set it off. So we got really relaxed, if you know what I mean. And we talked a lot, and we watched a movie, and then my friend passed out, and then I couldn't sleep. And I was really confused as to why I couldn't sleep. So I relaxed a bit more before going to bed, and I woke up and I had this, it felt like a hangover cloud in my brain. I felt like I felt like I had a really bad hangover, which I've never felt before. And I was like, why there's no reason for this to be this bad. But my friend, so we had to pick up some stuff, and so we woke up pretty early, so kind of around like 3 hours of sleep, which is kind of normal now. So I was used to it. But yeah, we drove to Starbucks, got some coffee. I thought the coffee would help, kind of shock me awake. And we're picking up the stuff, and I see somebody I know, and trying to hold a conversation, can't do it. Completely can't do it. We get back to the car, and I'm like, I think I need sleep, or I need water, or whatever. And he's like, yeah, man, just go back to bed. So I drop him back out off at his house, and I come back and I go to sleep. I wake up and I still feel the same way. I wake up and vision's very cloudy. Feels like a migraine. I think that's the best way to describe it. Is it feels like a very strong migraine. And I walk out here, make myself some food. I'm eating. It goes away for a second, and I'm like completely aware of my surroundings. Then within a minute, I'm back, and I can barely see, and I can't tell like what I'm touching is, am I actually touching things, or is stuff actually happening? I couldn't taste the food that I was eating. I think the weirdest thing was I couldn't feel, like literally feel things with my touch. I couldn't tell like if the water was hot that I was washing my hands with. And then I called my friend, and we had a 2-hour conversation. A lot of that was just me in this manic state where I couldn't understand what was going on. I couldn't understand what she was saying. Like the words literally didn't make sense to me. I was trying to describe to her what I was feeling, and then I went on a 20-minute rant about something, which was scary. And then in the end of the conversation, I was telling her, like, I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I can. I don't know what's going on. And she said, you know what? Just take it easy. Take it relaxed. Take it slow. Wake up tomorrow, and I'm sure it's going to be all good. So I do everything she said. And I take it easy and I take it slow, and it's a really weird feeling when you can't feel anything emotionally. No, first time I haven't had thoughts, in my mind going over and over and over like crazy. I guess my mind just didn't know what to do. And I was kind of thoughtless and senseless and didn't feel good. And I wasn't sick at all either. So, yeah, that was Wednesday. Thursday, I woke up, felt exactly the same, which scared me even more. I called her later in the afternoon because I slept about 14 hours, and then made some food again. Forgot how to make an omelet, which was really scary. I couldn't. Also, the other weird thing is the passage of time is really strange. It's like time's not passing fast enough. It's very slow. So when I was cooking the omelet, I guess maybe this would be a good metaphorical way to say it, but I was cooking the omelet, and the time that it took to cook the omelet, I'd look back and I'd think that it would be time to flip the omelet. And I'd look back at the omelet, and it's still raw. It's still completely raw on the top. And I'm like, in my mind, it's been enough time for me to flip it. But in reality, 2 minutes had gone by. Less than 2 minutes had gone by. And I was confused and scared. And yeah, so I called her again and I said, it's not gone away. And so she actually gave me some great tips. She taught me tapping, which brings you back to like presence, breathing, something I know, something that helps a lot. So I did that, and then so I did that, and I remember just repeating to her. I remember very little. It's very weird. I remember saying, I can't live like this. If this happens again, or it happens during a good point and it ruins something, I can't live like this. I don't want to live like this because these manic episodes have been happening, you know. I can probably predict when the next one's gonna happen. You know, it's a good thing my family doesn't see them. My family left. It's a good thing my family doesn't see it because it would just freak them out. But yeah, so that was Thursday. Friday, I felt a bit better. Still didn't feel like myself, but I felt better, and I was starting to come back. Still was going in and out of that state, but the normal states had become a lot better. In terms of disassociation. I think another thing is I love movies, and I watched a couple movies. Watched one in the theater. I watched a bunch at home. Could not understand it. Could not understand the dialogue. Could not understand what they were saying. Could not understand the story. I was very scared at things that were just classic jump scares that would not scare people normally. And it was really scary that I couldn't understand what was going on, and that one of the things that I loved I couldn't understand, and it was affecting it, and I just gotta figure it out how to not let that happen again. So Friday comes along, and you know, same kind of feeling. Saturday, probably the worst out of all the days, which was surprising yesterday. I think my theory is that the mental stress of seeing her again triggered it, and then the mental stress of knowing that I was going to see her again made it worse in the day that I was going to see her. So she came over in the evening because I thought I had plans, and then I canceled them. I've canceled all the plans for the week, which really sucked. But yeah, I saw her in the evening, and we had a really great conversation. It lasted a very long time, till like 2 a.m. This is where I'm going to be candid, just be honest. I don't know what happened. I was in a mental state. I had another manic episode, panic attack kind of thing with her, and she. It's my cat. Hold on. Big guy. Okay. Yeah. So had that panic attack kind of thing. It was really rough. So, and she knew that I was going through stuff. And I explained to her like what's been going on and how hard it was for me, not just her being the one to break up with her. So yeah, I explained how rough it's been, and how, you know, my life has been kind of terrible recently. And yeah, so she ended up sitting beside me and giving me a hug, and I had lost my decision making, and it was pretty much just decision making, my common sense. And yeah, she ended up staying the night. Nothing happened, but yeah, she ended up staying the night. I told her I can't do a relationship at all. She knows that I can't do a relationship. I don't know why she stayed the night. I was I couldn't understand what she was saying sometimes either. Like, she would ask me questions and I'd say, like, either repeat it or don't even try. I don't know what you're saying. Like, my brain can't process the words. So yeah, she stayed the night, which I mean, it was nice, but I don't think it should have happened. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it was just a one-time thing. Because I'm leaving in about a week for quite a large trip. And I'll continue these videos there, but yeah, it probably shouldn't have happened. My friends were advising me against it happening, but I think my decision making was out the window, and it just happened, and you know, it's okay that it happened. You know, I think it made both of us feel a bit better. And today, we just stayed the night. We didn't really sleep at all. And then I went to bed at like 7 a.m., 7:30. Woke up at around 12. So another 5 hours sleep. Probably 3 or 4 just because I don't sleep very well anymore. I took a nap later on, about an hour a nap, so I didn't get that much sleep today. But strangely enough, I've gone back to being clear-headed. I can hold a conversation. I can make this video. Because I tried to make a video when I was at the peak of it, and it's a vertical video of me looking down, and all you see is my forehead, and I'm mumbling almost nonsense of like trying to describe how I was feeling. So I'm like 90% back. I can still feel a little bit that, like, when I look around, it feels a little weird. But I think for the most part I'm back. I was able to hold a conversation with my friend who dropped some stuff off, and I met with one of my editors. So, you know, it's not bad. I think yesterday was good because it cleared up even more stuff, and my brain's a lot more clear, and I'm just not gonna think about what happened, you know, her staying the night for a bit. I just need to process it and take it slow. And I have a busy last week here before I go fly out. And you know, a lot's happened, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared. And when I come back, I'm definitely gonna seek some help, mental help. It's been something I've kind of been against, just because I thought I could do it. I thought I could be my own person, and I was strong enough. I don't think I'm strong enough. And I really want to be here, and I want to enjoy stuff, and I want to make a change. Because, you know, the recent past kind of couple of months where I wasn't making these videos, I was very close to not being here anymore. And I think it's a miracle that I'm still here, and that I'm still talking, and I'm interacting, and you know. So when I come back from my trip, definitely gonna seek some help. Definitely gonna hop on some medications, see if I can get this regulated, so that when the bad days do come, even though they're rare, they're not debilitating, and that I can actually function. Because this whole week I didn't go outside. I was barely eating, and it's just not healthy. So gonna get some help, and gonna try to just be present. I think I miss enjoying things, and I miss seeing things, and being. I think it's just really being present in life. Because, you know, I'm here. It's just I'm not here. I'm here physically. I'm just not here mentally. And I think it's just tough, you know? When things nothing has worked out and you haven't seen any proof. I think of a lot of movie quotes, a lot of things like that, but there's one from Donnie Darko where Donnie is sitting with his therapist, ironically, and he's saying, they're talking about God. They're talking about the search for God. Do you think the search for God is purposeful? And he says, how can it be purposeful if I haven't seen any proof? And I think that quote has been playing in my mind. That, you know, I haven't seen any proof of my efforts, of anything that I've done, of the time that I sacrificed. I haven't seen any proof that it was worth it, and that it was worth it for my future and stuff. And I've sacrificed a lot. It's just tough. And I think another quote from The Sound of Metal has been also playing in my mind, where the main character, Riz Ahmed's character, describes, he says, in sign language, if I disappear, who cares? Nobody cares, man. I had that mentality for like the past couple of months. I think I've said that in a video. And then I was walking back from the party, one of the parties with my friend who struggles with mental health, and I was like, I said to him, man, how have you not killed yourself? Like I didn't say it in a way that was like passive aggressive or anything, but I was genuinely asking for advice for what goes through his mind that holds him back from doing it. And he said, there's people in your life who care about you, and you do something where you're no longer here. You're permanently no longer here. It's a permanent solution. You create more problems for other people than the solution to your problem. And I think that stuck with me, and that's pulled me out a bit from this deep dark hole that I dug myself into. Because, you know, it's been really rough. It's been really rough, but he said that, and I couldn't fathom what it would do to like my mom and my sister and my best friend. And I know that it wouldn't just be me gone and that's it, that I'd be gone, and it would be just trauma for other people, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to other people. And I think that's where my motivation now has come from, and that he won't know this, but yeah, that day I was very close to not being here, and I drove back in not a state where I would have usually liked to have driven back in. Safety wise, but I'm still here, and I know that there's a problem, and I know that it's a problem that I can't solve on my own anymore. And I think I just want to be back. I want to make things that help people, films in specific, because that's what helps me, and tell stories. And I took one step with that, where I made a film about it's a very metaphorical film about my journey with transfer apps. where I talk about, it's one conscious person who talks about in 3 different states, 3 different emotional states. The journey would transfer apps very metaphorically, with like hope and doubt and fear. So I made that film, and it's quite controversial to the people I've screened it to, and it was at a film festival. I'm gonna post it publicly soon, but I guess my first step into like real, somebody came up to me after one of the film festivals, and she was like, "Oh my God, you made that film. I completely understand it. It's brilliant. It makes so much sense with depression. Like, it's a quite metaphorical representation of depression and achieving goals." She was like, "I completely understand, super relatable, blah, blah, blah." And I was touched by her understanding of the story, because it's really a deep story, and it's quite hard to understand. It's complex, and we're student filmmakers, so it's not going to be perfect by any means, in terms of like the actual film itself. But I think I showed it to my other friend, and she had a very similar reaction. She actually understood the underlying details in it, and yeah, I think I'm excited to post it publicly, and hear people's interpretations of it. That's why I'm not going to share it here, because I've already given you my interpretation. I'm not going to share any links to it, unfortunately, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. But if you see the film, maybe you'll know when you watched it, maybe you won't. But if you see a film like it, really reflect on what the meaning behind it is. Because I made it with a purpose, and it has very intricate details and intricate dialogue that a lot of thought has gone into. And I think, yeah, it's a film I'm proud of, and that I think is gonna make a change for some people who watch it, and that's what I live for, and that's what I was hoping the colleges that I had applied to would see, and unfortunately they didn't. Appeal still hasn't come back yet, and the wait list still hasn't come back yet, but my hope's kind of gone away. But I'm gonna go on this trip, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna figure it out. So no point on dwelling on it. Might as well just enjoy the time I have with my friends now, and face the problems when they come. That's what my dad's been telling me. So yeah, that's the update. Not much more to it. I know it's been quite a long video, but if you've watched this whole thing, I appreciate you checking in. That was a lot more I'd like to share, and I think I'm gonna start these videos up slowly but surely again. So yeah, it was good to do this though. Yeah. All right. I hope you guys are doing well. Take it easy.